The most dangerous moment is not when everything collapses. It's when everyone still believes there is time. Episode 8 of Landman doesn't shock you with chaos. It traps you with inevitability. Every choice feels late. Every silence feels intentional. And at the center of it all stands one man who finally understands the truth, but may not survive telling it. From the opening moments of episode 8, there is a clear shift in energy. Tommy is no longer chasing solutions. He is walking with the weight of understanding. His posture, his pauses, even his silence tell a story of a man who sees the end, but hasn't found the courage to name it yet. This episode makes it painfully clear that the hardest burden is not ignorance, it's awareness. Tommy understands the full scope of the problem now. The drilling risks are no longer numbers on a page. The insurance delays are no longer temporary obstacles. Everything is connected, and every connection leads back to him. What once felt like manageable pressure has turned into something suffocating. Leadership in this moment is not about making decisions. It's about absorbing blame before it even arrives. What makes this section so effective is how quiet it is. There are no dramatic confrontations, no loud arguments, just tension building through restraint. Tommy listens more than he speaks. And when he does speak, his words feel careful, filtered, incomplete. He is already editing the truth before it leaves his mouth. The episode shows how responsibility isolates people. Tommy cannot fully confide in anyone, not Nate, not Rebecca, not Cammy. Everyone sees a different version of him, but no one sees the full picture. And that isolation becomes its own prison. He is surrounded by people, yet completely alone in his understanding. This section also forces the audience to confront an uncomfortable truth. Competence does not guarantee control. Tommy didn't cause every problem, but he is responsible for all of them. And responsibility does not wait for permission. It arrives when things fall apart. By the end of this section, it's clear that Tommy is standing on unstable ground. He hasn't fallen yet, but the cracks are visible. And the episode makes one thing certain. Once you see the truth, you can never go back to pretending. Section 2, Nate and the cold logic of consequence. Nate steps into episode 8 as the voice of unavoidable reality. He doesn't threaten, he doesn't accuse, he simply explains. And that calm explanation is far more frightening than anger ever could be. Nate understands systems, and systems don't care about effort or intention. They care about outcomes. Every option on the table leads to loss. Drill and risk financial disaster. Don't drill and signal failure. Fight insurance and bleed time. Settle early and accept blame. Nate doesn't frame these as strategic decisions. He frames them as consequences waiting to happen. The only choice left is which consequence arrives first. What makes this section hit hard is how fair Nate is. He isn't rooting for Tommy to fail. In fact, he's trying to prepare him. But preparation feels like surrender when there are no good outcomes left. Nate knows how this ends because he's seen it before. Companies don't collapse from one bad move. They collapse from hesitation, layered on top of fear. Rebecca's earlier concerns suddenly gain new meaning here. Her fear was never emotional. It was analytical. She saw that the company was surviving on delay, not direction. Episode 8 quietly confirms that she was right. The problems were never isolated. They were compounding. Tommy listens, but he doesn't argue. And that silence is devastating. It tells us he already knows the math. What he hasn't accepted yet is the cost. Because the cost isn't just money. It's trust, reputation, and identity. This section strips away illusion. It shows how truth can feel cruel even when it's necessary. Nate isn't attacking Tommy. He's warning him. And warnings are only useful if acted upon. The clock is no longer ticking. It's already ringing. Section 3, Cammy's faith and Tommy's silence. Cammy's presence in episode 8 shifts the emotional weight instantly. She represents hope, legacy, and belief. All the things that logic cannot protect. She trusts Tommy completely, not because he promised perfection, but because she believes in who he is. And that belief becomes the most painful pressure of all. Cammy still sees the company as alive, still worth saving, still connected to her husband's memory. She speaks with confidence, not desperation. And Tommy listens, knowing every word lands heavier than it should. He understands now that telling her the truth would destroy more than a business. It would shatter faith. This is where episode 8 becomes deeply tragic. Cammy is not wrong to hope. Her belief is sincere and earned. But sincerity does not change reality. And Tommy's decision to remain silent is framed not as cruelty, but as fear. He tells himself he's protecting her, but the episode makes it clear. He's also protecting himself. Every moment he delays makes the eventual truth more destructive. The longer belief survives without reality, the harder the fall will be. And Tommy knows this. That knowledge eats at him quietly, relentlessly. The show refuses to rush this conflict. It lets the discomfort sit. It forces the audience to watch trust exist in a space where it no longer belongs. And that is what makes it hurt. Cammy's faith is not misplaced, it's mistimed. By the end of this section, the emotional line is clear. Tommy's silence is no longer neutral. It is a choice. And that choice is setting the stage for something irreversible. Section 4. Galliano and the Death of Illusion. When Tommy goes to Galliano, it doesn't feel like a strategy meeting. It feels like a final confession. He isn't searching for solutions anymore. He's searching for confirmation that what he fears is already true. And Galliano gives it to him without hesitation. Galliano does not believe in recovery. He does not believe in hope. To him, the company has been dead for a long time. The drilling plans, the investments, the negotiations, they were never signs of life. They were signs of denial. And then comes the moment that redefines everything. Galliano says the company died when Cammy's husband died. With that single sentence, the entire season reframes itself. Every effort suddenly feels like a delay tactic, not a strategy. The fight was never about winning. It was about refusing to accept loss. Tommy doesn't push back. He doesn't argue. He absorbs the truth because deep down, he already knows it. This is the moment where illusion finally collapses. Not loudly, not dramatically, just completely. Galliano offers no comfort, and the episode respects that choice. Comfort would be dishonest. Sometimes clarity hurts more than chaos. And this clarity leaves Tommy standing with nothing left to defend. By the time he leaves, there is no longer any confusion. The company cannot be saved. The only thing left is deciding who pays for its failure. Section 5. The calm before the inevitable. The final stretch of episode 8 is haunting in its restraint. Nothing explodes, nothing collapses on screen. And yet, everything is already over. The episode chooses certainty over spectacle, and that choice makes the ending deeply unsettling. Tommy moves through the final moments like a man who has accepted his fate, but not yet spoken it aloud. He knows now that the blame will land on him, not because he caused everything, but because he stood at the center when everything finally broke. Responsibility does not ask who tried the hardest, it asks who was in charge. Around him, life continues. Meetings happen, plans are discussed, operations move forward as if the future still exists. That contrast is brutal. The company looks alive, but it is hollow. The foundation is gone, and everyone is walking on borrowed time. Cammy still believes. And that belief is now a ticking clock. Every moment she continues to trust Tommy is another moment that will make the truth hurt more when it finally arrives.